this is day 2 of riding in Spain with Graham Jarvis. This is a little clip from day 2 anyway. There was obviously a lot of riding between day 1 and this portion of day 2. But to me, this was probably the funnest trail that we rode. This was several miles north of Aurora, where we started, well, Graham's house anyway. And it was I'm letting the better riders get in front of me here. But it was a series of switchbacks going up this hill that took the videos about 8.5 minutes long, and that was pretty much how long it took to get from the bottom to the top of this hill. We're going to end up where those you kind of see those windmills up there sticking up above the trees, so that's where we're going to end up. It was a really cool trail. It was, like I said, a lot of tight switchbacks were a lot of fun. We kind of, I wouldn't really exactly call it a pivot turn, but it's kind of like a pivot turn. Kind of like that there. Some of them you'd have to kind of get your wheel up on the wall and so forth, but it was, you know, of course, videos never do anything justice, but it was really loose terrain and kind of off camber. A lot of it had a pretty good drop to one side. I think I was kind of going back and forth between first and second gear on this one. Most of it was in first gear, my newfound gear to get traction. Like I said in the last video, traction or lack of traction rather was kind of amazing. You know why Graham trains here. It's all about traction. This is definitely, you can work on getting traction. It's all basically like decomposed granite. I've ridden in Colorado and, you know, a lot of other places, and this one I'd say was probably the toughest on finding good traction. Probably won't talk a whole lot during this video, but like I said, it's 8.5 minutes long, so I'll go hoarse by the end of it. One thing I did like about the bike that I was riding was that, of course, Graham runs bibs all the time, but he had bibs in all of these bikes as well, and mine had a bib both in the front and the rear, and the rear tire had, Graham even said, he goes, oh yeah, he goes, it's pretty soft. It had the holes in it and all that, and I think it was a bit of an older bib, so the back tire got hooked up pretty well. But what was really nice about it is that we rode a lot of roads in between. Like we rode kind of gravel roads, a few little paved roads, which you know, would leave a little bit to be desired, consider, you know, thinking that it's a paved road, because they weren't exactly great paved roads. They were kind of backcountry roads. But when we rode on those roads, even with bibs, the bike was ultra smooth. I've ridden my 300 and I had a DRZ 400. There, I kicked the bike out of here. And a DRZ 400 that I've ridden on the road, but yeah, don't pay attention. Pay no attention to that. And I guess because of the rim lock, they tend to not be very smooth on the road. And the rear tire had a bib in it, and then it had 2 rim locks, 180 degrees of each other, which we've done that for Graham when he's been here. And then the front tire with the bib, you really don't need a rim lock. So I think the tires were just really well balanced, and I think that added to how smooth everything ran, at least when you're on a paved road. Now, I probably will, I think I'm actually riding this bike here kind of convinced me that I might go ahead and go with bibs. I've always run tubes. Right here, Cody's coming up behind me, and I was going to let him pass, but I was like, man, I just can't stop right now. I have to keep going. So it's kind of like one of those enduros where you have to keep going until you find a good spot to let the guy behind you pass. Safe place. So I think up here I stopped and let him get on around me. Gary had actually taken off. He was the first one up the trail. He'd taken off a few minutes before I did. And then the other rider that passed me earlier was Jeff. And then now here's Cody. And they were of our group, other than the guys that Graham had with him. Cody and Jeff are definitely the best 2 riders. like I was saying, I think I'm kind of convinced now to go with bibs. Not so much because of puncturing them. I've been pretty lucky that even with tubes that I have rarely punctured a tire. But it's just the smoothness of them. And I think the smoothness, like I said, comes from not having to have a rim lock on the front. And then, of course, if you did that, you would want to put 2 or 3 rim locks on the back to kind of balance it out if you were looking for it to be smooth. Gained quite a bit of altitude on this little trail, and it's pretty dry there. By the time I got to the top, boy, I was so thirsty. And I think Gary said something whenever I got to the top. He goes, man, he goes, I don't ever get arm pump. Because I think I got arm pump at the top of this trail. I was like, yeah, I was feeling it. I don't know that I actually got arm pump, but boy, it was my arms were pretty sore. Yeah, you can hear me breathing heavy. Probably should have kicked that rock off the trail for the other riders, but well, I had to get around it. You got to get around it too. Or rather, I didn't quite get around it. I knocked it in the middle of the trail. At that point, I was just like, just get to the top. Off there, my back wheel spun a little bit. Testament to the lack of traction. What's cool about this area in Spain is there's all kinds of trails like this. It really is kind of a rider's paradise. I'm not sure what their regulations or whatever are, but I mean, I know there's several groups that do dirt bike rides out here. I think you can pretty much ride where you want. And here's where I screw up. All the way up here and then boom, all over into the trees. And what's funny about it is like the next, I don't know, 3 or 4 people that came up fell in almost exactly the same spot. For me, I think what happened was I just saw the end of the trail and I thought, oh, I'm done, and then was focusing on this little last climb here. Just wasn't paying attention around that corner. But anyway, that's a little bit of what we call switchbacks from Graham on day 2 in Spain.